Thank you very much. Just a quick footnote before I start. When I do start to sweat profusely, it's all part of my talk. Thank you. Right, so Tamer Geumei, born to Egyptian immigrants in Canada, a middle sibling, have an older brother, younger sister. Obviously being raised in Canada was very different from being somebody being raised in Egypt. My community, my school, my surroundings, my social club, my friends are mostly non-Egyptian. What we celebrate, what we cry about, are nothing related to Egypt. However, when I go back home, my parents are Egyptian. And things are different, but they're mainly the same. Being raised in a different culture, from my perspective, and this is just me, I think that's a one-up on somebody who's just being raised in a singular culture. The similarities are there, so are the differences. But stressing on the similarities are, and now that I'm looking back at it, I can tell you, because at the time, I didn't know any of this. And I am speaking to the majority of the youngsters here. Neither do you know what you're going through now. You will, though, later on in life. I'm later on in life. And I know now that it was a benefit. I look at identity as anything. It grows. I grew up, I wasn't born this way, neither are anyone. None of us were born this way. As a child, when you introduce identity, it's very simple. It's based on your race, your gender, your religion, the basics, the fundamentals. And that's what you give them. When I grew older, I started to have hobbies. I started to have passions. I remember when I was a kid, I fell in love with remote control cars. And that was my passion, that was my hobby. And wherever I would go, I would take my father to travel distances, to take me to a remote control convention so I could buy the latest remote control. Later on, I had a passion for sports. I identified myself with people who have the similar passion as I do. I wasn't focusing on the differences. There are differences. There's always differences. And it's not just differences because I was born in Canada and raised by Egyptians who were also in Canada. No. There are differences within. Even if you're born in Egypt to Egyptian parents, there are differences from your neighbor. That's not really what we're about. As the previous speaker said, we are all about diversity. We are all about similarities, actually. My family was middle class. We weren't too much, we weren't too little. We were fine. I went to a normal school. I traveled around extensively. 13 years ago, I told my wife I need to come back to Egypt. She said, let's go. My wife's not Egyptian. I've been in Egypt for the past 13 years. Prior to me moving to Egypt, I used to consider myself as a Canadian Egyptian. I currently consider myself as an Egyptian Canadian since I moved back. Yes, I knew what Egyptian identity was from home. My father instilled, amongst many things, but relevant to the topic of identity, three main things that really stuck out to me that I would like to mention to you today. Egyptians are very proud, extremely proud. Proud of who we are, proud of where we've come from, proud of what we represent, what we embody. Pride. Take pride in what you do, pride in how you do it. The second thing is family. Family is all what it comes down to. Everything revolves around family. When I was younger, I used to come to Egypt on vacation. My mom, my dad, and my siblings. We would all come. We would come to the family. We didn't have a house. I would stay at family's house. Egypt to me was family. Whether it be an aunt, whether it be an uncle, whether it be an older cousin. It was all about family. Now, the fact that I moved back to Egypt allowed me to actually better understand who I am and where I come from. Not that I didn't before, but I understood it from a different perspective. And that doesn't mean that they don't have it. Respect, in my books, is a key card that is present in any civilization or in any country or in anywhere you go. Prior to me moving here 14 years ago, I was lucky enough to work and live in 3 different continents. None of them were based on disrespect. They had something similar to me, which was respect. But in their own essence, doesn't mean I'm better because I'm different, doesn't mean they're worse because they're not the same as me. It's the same, but the nuances differ. When I first came back to Egypt, I started work, and for the past 13 years I'm proud to have been working up until today in a school. This is my home, this is my house, and I work with kids. My first sort of hiccup regarding respect here in Egypt was a Habibi situation. I don't know Habibi. I never used to speak Arabic or read Arabic prior to me coming here. So, Habibi to me means my love. Hello? So here I am at work, and I'm working. And a stage principal, we're good friends now, I mean, we're great. And we're talking, and all of a sudden she gives me the Habibi bomb. I'm respectful. Habibi me. So I let it fly. 2 minutes later, she gives me another Habibi. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Habibi? Listen, I just need to clarify something. And I'm just telling you this because I'm translating this in my mind. Habibi to me means my love, and I'm like, oh my God, she's not gonna tell me my love, and I'm not gonna make a stand here. That means I'm disrespectful. So I'm like, excuse me, miss. If you call me Habibi, what am I supposed to tell you? Honey buns? I mean, she looked at me, she was perplexed. She was shocked. I'm like, you tell me Habibi, I tell you honey buns. Next thing you know, I'm married, I have a wife. What is she supposed to tell me? She tells me Habibi. So, after all, I found out it's not an insult, it's okay. I use Habibi now, by the way. But at the time, I didn't know. Now I know. And like I said, it's not about the differences, it's about the similarities. Yeah, respect is within. Southeast Asia. I was living in Southeast Asia for close to a year. And it is very rude to give a business card, your own business card, to somebody like that. That's wrong. You have to give it both hands, you look the person in the eye, and you give it with the utmost sincere respect and humbleness. Until I didn't do that, I didn't know. It doesn't mean I'm disrespectful. Now, mind you, if I was born in Southeast Asia, regardless of who my parents would have been, I probably would have knew that. Like if I was born in Egypt, I probably would have known the Habibi situation going on. It would have been fine. It's not bad to be different, and it's not better that we're not the same. Identity is for you. I'm not here to tell you what you should and what you shouldn't be. And it's not something that you're going to take on to be impressionable. Yeah, it's going to be fine. That's going to be your identity until the impression wears out, and then move along. Identities usually, and the more you grow, the more you will understand what I'm trying to say. It's about values. It's about things that you have a passion for. It's about really who you are. Now, fast forwarding to my Egyptian identity. Yes, I'm Egyptian. I love Egypt to the core. My wife is a foreigner. My kids were born here. And that was on purpose. Don't tell my wife that. But I wanted to do that so they could get all of the nitty-gritties that I didn't get. Plus, they'll get the other stuff from me. Being different is not for anybody to tell you it's good or it's bad. Your identity should not be forced on you. It will come. My identity changed 13 years ago to a different version of me. I wasn't bad before. I'm not a superhero or a superstar now. It's just I'm more of that. You need to find your own truthfulness, your own purpose. And as the eloquent speaker said before, Egypt has a vast history. When I was in my travels, when people would ask me, where are you from? I'm Egyptian Canadian. Whoa, Egypt. Whether they are amazed by the culture, whether they are amazed by the history, whether they are amazed by the religion, the architect, the whatever, we already have it going on for us without even doing anything. Actually, the work has been done. You just need to hold it to the highest standard of respect and know what you're dealing with. It is an honor to be Egyptian. I'm lucky to be Egyptian. Identity is changeable. Identity is not something you are told, and don't let anybody tell you that's a wrong identity. Thank you very much for giving me